Hello. If you are watching the replay on YouTube, please like, comment, and share the video. Make sure that you're subscribed to my YouTube channel and you have your notifications turned on so that you don't miss it if I do any spontaneous lives while I am out doing public action. Right now, I'm streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And my name is Catherine Vitale. I'm a candidate for Boston City Council at large. And I started this show, Common Ground, about 3 or so weeks ago, almost a month ago, to just get people talking, to get people having uncomfortable conversations that they don't, normally engage in on an everyday basis, but they should be, right? So I have been an activist for the past 2 years. I started out on the right side of the political spectrum. And then I realized that, we're not really going to win much of anything unless we build bridges with the people on the left side and fight together. So I know that there's tons of stuff that people disagree on, from the right and the left, but there's also tons of stuff that we can agree on, and we are just not talking about it because we're so caught up in the mainstream media and politics that we are at odds with each other all the time about so many ridiculous issues when we would be much more powerful if we came together and fought together. So the show is called Common Ground. I do a segment on here called Left and Right Unite, where I try to get activists or people that would typically be, identifying with more of the, left-wing politics, and have uncomfortable conversations with them about things that we may or may not disagree on, and, just have civil conversation and work through disagreements and find common ground. And then I also want to be exposing things that are happening in schools. So, if you have an issue with something that's going on in your kid's school, please send me a message on here. Or you can reach me at wethepeopleofma.org. There's a sign up form there, and you can leave your email, phone number, however you want to be contacted by me, and I can get your story on here. Or if you'd like to be on the guest if you'd like to be a guest on the show to talk about whatever issue it is, whether it's a kid's school or just any issue that you want to raise awareness for, I am willing to talk about. I just want to get conversations happening. I want to get people's minds going. I want to inspire other people to participate in civic engagement because I think it's very important. I think that a lot of us were raised not to talk about politics, not to talk about religion, not to talk about things that we may not see eye to eye on, because these conversations are uncomfortable. But I think that that's what got us here today, is not talking about these things. For decades, I feel like our parents or, people in my generation haven't paid attention to politics at all. I know that I wasn't really paying attention much until 2020 when shit hit the fan. So I think it's very important that everybody start getting engaged. And, I don't claim to be an expert on politics or social issues, and I don't claim to know it all, but I love learning new things, and I want to learn as much as I can from my peers and the people around me. So to get into the show tonight, the topic that I'm speaking on is an issue that I ran into that I didn't even know was an issue this past Saturday. So I went to visit a family member who is incarcerated right now. I couldn't tell you the last time I went to visit somebody in jail was probably somewhere around 2019 or maybe even 2016 was the last time. But I have been to a few different jails to visit people in my lifetime. And, so I'm familiar with the process and how it works. I decided that I was going to go visit somebody on Saturday. So I called beforehand, and I asked, are you guys doing visits now? And because on their website, it says that they're not. So the website is accurate. But when I called, I said, are you guys doing visits now? And she said, yeah, we are. The next visiting hours at 3:30, and it was about 2 o'clock when I called. And I said, oh, okay. So, do you have to be on a list or anything? Because some jails do have lists, like the inmate has a list of people that they're allowed to have visits from. And like you have to apply or whatever, and they do a background check at some places, not all. So she said, no, it's just first come, first serve. So, I mean, I didn't ask if anything about a virtual visit because I didn't know that was a thing. And she didn't tell me anything about a virtual visit. She said, first come, first serve. So, I wasn't actually, when I made the phone call, I wasn't even planning yet on actually going that day. I had decided in between making the phone call and like getting there, because it's only like 15 minutes away from my house, that I was going to go. So I get there and I go inside, and I have been to this particular jail before to do visits. So I'm familiar with like the front lobby and what the process is. So I walk in. Now, I think that there's a lot of people that would be watching this video that have already seen the video from the jail, or House of Corrections. So just know that I didn't walk in already recording, okay? Because there's a lot of speculation, like of why I walked in recording, and I didn't. I was genuinely there to visit somebody, and I wasn't expecting to run into an issue. This wasn't like, a public action that I was doing. I wasn't like in activism mode. Wasn't doing any work. I was genuinely going to try to visit a family member, right? So, I walk in, and there's just this one female officer at the metal detector, and as soon as I walk in, she didn't say anything about the mask right away, but I asked her, because there's like those bank lines like blocking off the whole lobby, like where you would go. They have like lockers for visitors to put their things in, because you're not allowed to take anything into the visiting room. So they have like bank lines blocking the lobby and the lockers, and you can kind of only just walk like straight ahead to the metal detectors, which I don't think it used to be like that. So, and there was nobody else in there, right? And so like when you go for a visiting hour, there's usually a lobby full of people waiting to go up for their visit. There was nobody else in there. It's just the one guard. So, and no chairs or benches or anything that I'm not sure if this particular jail had benches in the lobby, but I think they did. So nothing like that. No other people. And I'm like, is it visiting hour right now? And she's like, well, we have virtual visits, but you need to put a mask on. And I'm like, I ignored the mask thing because that's my first go-to, is just ignore it until they, continue to try to ask me, and then I'll address it. So I ignored it when she first said it, and then she copped a little attitude with me, and I said, you're only doing virtual visits. Like, is this a COVID thing? And she said, well, it was a COVID thing, but it's not anymore. It's just the policy now. So I didn't really get to confirm what she meant by that, like if this was going to be a forever thing, or if it's going to be like a virtual visit is going to be always optional, but you could also do an in-person visit, right? So I'm like trying to ask her questions, but then she starts with the like, you need to put a mask on or you need to leave or whatever. So I took my phone out and started recording, just to get, I was trying to just record her saying that they don't do in-person visits since 2020. And then she like completely changed her whole attitude with me. And as you can see from the video, if you go back to my Facebook or my Twitter or my TikTok, which reminds me that I'm going to have to put the video on YouTube, I guess. She walks out through the metal detector and starts coming toward me. And she's like, you need to leave the facility. You need to leave now if you're not going to put on a mask. So we have that whole stupid back and forth. And I'm like, well, I wasn't arguing with her about leaving because at this point I'm clearly not getting a visit because there must be a process. She was telling me that I needed to download the app or whatever. So I'm like, obviously there's a process to being able to do a virtual visit. So I have no more business in the building, right? So I'm not like trying to argue with her about the mask thing because I have no reason now to stay in the building. Had I been going in for a visit and she's trying to tell me to put on a mask, then I would have had that argument about the mask thing. But I was leaving anyway, so there was no point, right? So I asked her for her name and badge number because that's what you're supposed to do. If you're, if you are, I feel like at this point with the things that I know now, anytime I interact with a public official, I want to know who they are, what their identity, like I want to identify them just in case I ever have to reference the interaction later on, whether it be like in a complaint or in a lawsuit or, like whatever, at any point, like I need to identify the people that I'm talking to. It's very important, right? Especially officers, police, things like that. So, I like very politely asked her for her name and badge number. And she told me that's not for you to know. And I'm like, what? Like, yes, it is. Like, you're a public employee. Like, identify yourself, And she kept telling me no. And then she tried to do like a quick trick to like get me to walk out the door. And then she was going to try to shut the door in my face. But then I stayed behind in the doorway and was like, just give me your name and badge number. She just kept repeating herself. You need to leave the facility. You need to leave the building. And I'm like, yeah, I am leaving. Like, I have no problem with that. I'm not trying to stay here. Can you just give me your name and badge number? So she finally gave me her name and then I left. Simple. But so there's so much wrong here. How is this just going under the radar and nobody's talking about it? Okay. I don't care what your stance is about somebody who is convicted of a crime and doing time. It doesn't matter. They're still human beings. They still have basic human rights, even when they're incarcerated. And a visit from your friends and family could possibly be like the only thing that you are looking forward to at all for the rest of your life or a really long time. And at this particular house of corrections, the visits are contact visits. So you can hug your family, you can hold your child in these visits. So it breaks my heart to so many things are sad about what they do to people who are even suspected of committing a crime, never mind what they do to the people who are actually found guilty of committing a crime. Departments of corrections and jails have become a very disgusting thing. Okay. In so many ways. But to take away in-person visits and just leave it like that, like where is the public outrage? I don't understand. There was a protest at this house of corrections. This is Suffolk County House of Corrections. We usually refer to it as South Bay, and this is where people go after they've been arraigned, like once they've gotten time, I believe, right? Because we have Nashua Street Jail, which is where you go before you are convicted or whatever, and then South Bay is where you go once you're serving time, I believe. So, um, I don't remember where I was going with that, but they can't have their visits. And last September, um, 2022, I remember, I think it was September. I'm pretty sure it was September. I could be wrong. There was a protest at this, um, at South Bay. And the protest was about, there was a certain number of deaths that happened there. I don't know if it was like just last year or in the past couple of years or what, but, um, you can look it up. The protest got media coverage of some sort, but they had a protest, with like a decent number of people. I actually didn't attend the protest, but I did drive by it just to check it out, um, because I didn't know anybody that was organizing the protest or anything like that, and I probably had my kids, and I wouldn't to that type of event. But yeah, they had a protest there for that. I never like saw any follow up after that protest. And I've never, still to this day, I mean, I was shocked on Saturday when I heard about these virtual visits. I haven't heard anybody speaking out against this or, trying to make a big deal of it. And that's insane to me because you would think, like, I feel like, prisoners' rights or inmate rights is typically something that you would hear from the activists on the left side. But I pay attention to a lot of those groups and the things that they post and the things that they rally for. And I haven't heard anything. I mean, please send it to me if it's out there. If somebody has been fighting this, please let me know. I would love to be in contact with them and see, how we could work together, because this is outrageous to me. It's really sad. I mean, just the thought of it makes me want to cry. This is like one of the only things that these people have to look forward to. And, they're still human beings. They still, somebody could be doing decades in jail over something, like drug possession. Who knows? Like something that's not a horrible, I mean, drugs are horrible, yes, but I mean, in my opinion, if it's not murder or, hurting a child in some way, come on, like fraud, drugs, like these people don't deserve to ever have contact with anybody for the whole time that they're in there, and then it's interesting because this is another one of those things where, like, if you've never dealt with it before, I feel like you may not know, because I did talk to some point who did work, involving, jails and stuff like that, who didn't know that you have to pay for phone calls that inmates, the phone calls that they make to their friends and family when they're incarcerated, that you have to pay for them. And that was crazy to me, that there's people that don't know that you have to pay for those phone calls. And so I just found out, I think yesterday, that you actually have to pay for these virtual visits. Somebody said that it's $6 per visit. You have to apply and wait for an approval to get to schedule a virtual visit. So I haven't gotten my approval yet. So I don't know the rules yet. I just put in the application. But somebody told me that you have to pay $6 per visit. And I did try to confirm with that person that this is at South Bay, because I heard that at the Nashua Street Jail, they do have in-person visits, but they also have the option for a virtual visit, and you pay money for those. So, I mean, if it's optional, then I feel like it's not crazy that they charge for the virtual visit, because, like, if you don't want to pay, then just come in person, right? But at South Bay, if they're not even offering in-person visits, you shouldn't have to pay for that, because you don't have an option. That's ridiculous. Where's the accommodation? So Yeah, I think that it's really fucking ridiculous. People are just in jail and have no contact with anybody, especially, I mean, who's the majority of people in jail, right? Probably people that don't have a lot of money, probably low income people are typically the ones that end up having to stay in jail, or people that can't afford bail or whatever the case is. And now, on top of that, maybe they're not able to, maybe them or their family is not able to afford phone calls. And, maybe they used to rely on those visits because, their family could make it up on the weekend to see them. And, it doesn't cost any money like the phone calls do. And now they don't even have that. So it's really disgusting. I'm really interested to see what people think about this, especially people on the right, because we're typically, I feel like people on the right, typically people that don't really have much to say about people in jail or, people that commit crimes. um, so, this is a big deal to me. This is something that is really, really upsetting me. And I think that people need to be making a big deal about it because, um, you know, I understand wanting law and order, right? But to what extent? Right? We know that the judicial system is just as corrupt as the executive and the legislative, right? So when we know judges are corrupt, when we know lawyers are corrupt, when we know police are corrupt, and everybody is pretty much working hand in hand for whatever political gain they can get out of whatever outcome they're making through their profession and the decisions they make. Think about the people who are in jail that didn't actually commit a crime, but maybe they didn't have money to pay for a great lawyer. Maybe, for what? There's tons of reasons. There's so many fucking reasons why somebody could be in jail that does not actually deserve to be there. And I would argue that it's probably the majority of people that are in jail are people that probably don't deserve to be there at all or for the amount of time that they're spending there. I would argue that, honestly. So what about those people? Like, you know, hate criminals, hate murderers, hate rapists, hate child molesters, right? But for everybody else that's in jail for whatever reason, um, they don't deserve, having something to look forward to. They don't deserve getting to see their children and hug their children. Like, I can't, it just like it blows my mind. And it sucks too because the video is actually getting shared a lot. The video that I posted on TikTok, it has a lot of comments and a lot of views. And unfortunately, I didn't add a caption to it. I just put a bunch of hashtags. If you're on TikTok, you know that you can't go back and edit once you've posted. And pretty much usually, like, my main focus is to make sure that I get the right hashtags on that are going to hopefully get the video seen. And I didn't add any context to the video. So unfortunately, everybody is hating on me on TikTok because they think that I was trying to highlight the argument about the mask and trying to make that particular officer like look bad because she was trying to make me wear a mask. But I posted the video because I wanted to highlight the part about the inmate visits. So, I want people to talk about this. I need people to talk about this. This is a really big deal to me. It should be a big deal to everybody, you know? And this affects people all across the political spectrum, This is common ground. These are human beings and they have rights. Like, there's people commenting on my video saying they lose their rights. They're incarcerated. They have no more rights. That's not true. You still have basic human rights. You're still a fucking human. You don't just become non-human because you're incarcerated. Being incarcerated is paying a debt to, society or the fucking government, I guess, for, breaking the law. That doesn't mean that you're no longer supposed to be treated like a human being, you know? Like, it's ridiculous. Let me look at these comments. If you're just joining, you might have seen the video on my Facebook that I posted on Saturday. I posted on Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. It's not on my YouTube yet, but I posted a short clip of me having a conversation with a corrections officer in Suffolk County House of Corrections on Saturday, which I'm going to refer to as South Bay. That's what we call it. I was there to attempt to visit a family member, an inmate, and I wasn't aware. Even though I called beforehand, the person on the phone didn't tell me that the visits are only virtual, and they've been virtual since March of 2020. And when I spoke to the officer, she told me that I said, "Is this because of COVID?" And she said, "Well, it is because of COVID, but it was because of COVID, but now it's just the policy." So I didn't really get to have her elaborate on that because she was so focused on getting me out of the building because I wasn't wearing a mask. So I didn't really get to go into any detail about that. So I'm not sure if that means that South Bay is only ever offering virtual visits now and they'll never do in-person visits again, or if that just means like it's that way for now. Like I don't know. I don't know what she meant. So and I posted the video, and the video looks like I'm trying to highlight the argument about the mask, but it wasn't about the mask. I didn't walk into there recording. I walked into there to try to do a visit, and then I started recording when she was being rude to me. But then once the camera went up, she stopped being rude to me. She was very professional once the camera came on. And I'm not shoving a camera in her face to try to make her I guess a little bit, yeah, to make her feel uncomfortable because she was being rude to me. But I don't want it to be about the officer. I don't want it to be about I do want to talk about the mask thing too, because that's a big deal. But that's not what I was trying to highlight. I'm trying to highlight the fact that inmates are not getting in-person visits, and it's disgusting. It affects all of us. If you've ever had a family member that's incarcerated for, an extended period of time, a visit is a big deal. Getting to see your family, getting to hold your children, getting to hug somebody that is not an inmate, like this is like the only thing to look forward to besides your phone calls. And not only are they not allowing in-person visits, but the virtual visits cost money, I heard. I'll be able to confirm that once I get my approval from the application that I put in to do a virtual visit. But if they cost money, that's ridiculous because it's not optional. If it costs money to do a virtual visit, but you also have the option of going in person, then that's different. Sure, charge the money. But there needs to be an accommodation if that's your only option. It should not cost money. So I think that that's ridiculous. My bestie's husband went to jail for stealing a blender. It was his wife's. It was in his car because they owned a radio station and she traveled with it. Spent 5 years in Georgia for it. 5 years for stealing a blender. Ooh, and 10 years probation for stealing a blender. See? Like, that makes me think of that story. I want to say his name is George. What is his name? Hold on. Hold on. The one that Angela Davis was advocating for. Hold on. This is going to drive me nuts, so I'm just going to look it up. That's probably not even going to come up either, of course. Can somebody does anybody watch in the comments that knows about Angela Davis and the Soledad brothers? What was his name? George Johnson? Is that his name? Probably not. God damn it. This is going to drive me nuts. George Jackson. Letters from George Jackson. So he was, and maybe you can help me, Shannon. He was in jail he was serving 11 years for stealing $70, was it? Back in, I don't remember the year either. God damn it. Stealing $70. And for 7 out of those 11 years, he was in solitary confinement. And he was a teenager when he did this crime and got arrested. And for 7 of those years, he was in solitary confinement. In America. And it wasn't that long ago. Angela Davis is still alive. So if you know what year it was, tell me, because I'm going to look it up right now. Um, 1961. It was an armed robbery, they say. In 91. And yeah, for 7 years he was born. For 7 years he was in solitary confinement. 1970 trial. Yeah, like these things are still happening. You know, this wasn't that long ago, and there's many, many more stories of things even more recent that are outrageous. You know, and this is not this. We're not living in a free country. We have an illusion of being free. We're not actually free. You know, when they can lock us up based off of a bunch of people's opinions and, you know, political stances and positions. This is not freedom. This is not what freedom is supposed to look like. This is not what the founding fathers saw when they wrote us the Constitution. Human beings are not supposed to be treated like this. You know, when they can just come to your front door and take your children out of your home. This is not freedom. This is not how this country is supposed to be operating. It's extremely corrupt on every single level. And if you are living your life like normal after what we've seen over the past 3 years, after so many people have been snapped into activism because of the events of the past 3 years, if by now you've watched all of this, you know, go down over the past 3 years and you're still not doing anything, shame on you. Honestly, shame on Woo and shame on you. Everybody should be doing something. Everybody should be doing something more than making phone calls and sending emails to their legislators. Everybody should be taking action in some way or another There are a million issues, and every single issue, I mean, there's so many issues that something at some point is going to resonate with you. You need to get up and do something. Yeah, so that's what I have to say about the inmate visits. I'm fucking pissed. It's bullshit. These people deserve to be able to look forward to having an in-person visit with their family, and people need to say stuff. People need to talk. People need to have these conversations. People need to raise public awareness about this and about all the other issues. So, if you have anything to add, or if you want to get involved in helping us figure out what to do about this situation or any other situation that I've talked about, talk in the comments, send me a DM. You can contact me at wethepeopleofma.org. There's a sign up form. If you're in Boston, you can help me with my campaign. You can vote for me. You can visit my campaign website, vitallyforboston.com. That also is basically just a sign-up sheet. I'm not very good with getting content onto the websites because I'm not a web designer, but I'm trying. I'm not even going to put this comment on the screen because I don't, because of the context of the comment, but somebody says, do you agree that it puts a target on you when you try to speak up? Absolutely. And Lynn and Lynn answered me right. And Lynn answered right before I even said it. Absolutely, it does. It does put a target on you, of course. However, especially if you have children, what kind of a world are you leaving behind for them if you don't speak up against injustice? Because injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere, right? I feel like the generations before us, or the generation before us, I don't know about you, I'm about to be 33 years old, was where they started the programming, where people stopped talking about politics and stopped being involved in politics, and politics turned into something that you were born into. Like if your family was involved, you got involved, and and then they recruit people based on all kinds of criteria, and you're not in unless you're in, basically. So not paying attention, not speaking up, and being scared and intimidated is how the previous generations got us to where we are today, to the point where we literally have no say in anything. And if you want to argue that point, please come argue it, because we have no say in anything. Our country was founded on the basis of it being a constitutional republic, which you hear all the time people say, this is what democracy looks like. I don't really care what democracy looks like, because our country was not meant to be a democracy. Democracy is a word that has been inculcated over and over and over again to get us to think that we're in a democracy. And if you actually, look past a simple Google search and see why they want us to classify our government as a democracy, because that's the first step in conditioning us toward a dictatorship. This is not a democracy. We are meant to be a constitutional republic. A democracy is mob rule. A democracy is when the majority wins. The majority is the deciding answer of what happens. And that might sound like a good idea to you, but if majority rule, it gets very dangerous, right? Because the majority could be the people that are the most influenced by the media. The majority could be the people that are completely wrong, but they think that they're right because they're being told lies by the people that they're listening to. We do not want a democracy. We want our constitutional republic. In a constitutional republic, everybody has a say. And if you don't want to participate, you don't have to participate, which means that you can cut yourself off from the government and live your own life and not have to pay any penalty for it. You don't have to participate in their systems. That's a constitutional republic, and that's what our forefathers intended for us when they wrote our constitution. So if you're not familiar with the difference between a constitutional republic and a democracy, please look it up. Please, you know, do your research, and please stop referring to our country and our government as a democracy, because it is perpetuating all of their bullshit. We're not a democracy. We don't want to be one. Yeah, people say democracy, small d, as a generic term for government involving the people's input. Even Republicans and people who are right leaning um, refer to our government as a democracy. We've been fucking brainwashed. Stop it. It drives me nuts when people use that word. Many people don't put in the effort to stand on what they think is right. They would rather bitch about it than do something about it. Yeah, that's true. That is true. And a lot of people are scared. People are scared of being wrong. People are scared of being embarrassed or making a fool of themselves, or, not having the answer to something when asked. I said it before and I'll say it a million times again. I never wanted to do anything like this. I never, saw myself running for a political office. I never saw myself wanting to start, a show like this to try to build followings on social media platforms and get people to come and interview with me live on the internet. I don't like being on camera. I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way my voice sounds. I don't like anything about this. I don't like being on the news. I don't like getting arrested. I don't like any part of the things that I'm feeling compelled to be doing these days, but it needs to be done. You need to step out of your box, step out of your comfort zone, and start getting involved. There's so many different ways to get involved. Get off the fucking computer, get off of the internet, get out into the real world, build relationships, and have conversations with people in person. That's what needs to be done, because the establishment, which is the government and the elites and all of the people that hold all of the power, they don't want us to like each other. They want us to be at odds with each other over politics, race, gender identity, sexual orientation, vaccination status. They just want there to be two sides to everything. They want us to think that whoever doesn't agree with us on whatever issue is our enemy. My enemy is not the person to the left of me or the person to the right of me. My enemy is the people in power who are not doing anything to stop what's happening to our country. What's happening is pure fascism. And if you're on the left and you claim to be against fascism, why are you siding with the government on mandates? Why are you asking for more government? I would think that if you're anti-fascism, you would want less government. Tell the government to stay the fuck out of my home. Stay away from me. Our government wasn't created to be, police. We're not supposed to have our lives and our privacies invaded by these government officials or state agencies who think they know better for ourselves and our families than we do. We were meant to be free people. How have we not known about this happening in South Bay? How come Roxbury, Southie, and Dorchester people aren't talking about this? Exactly. Thank you. We do this for the kids. Prison and school systems are Freemason, Illuminati. Guy spoke up in Wareham about 15 years ago, getting harassed by police every day. They would stop him. His brakes failed on the way home from work. Yeah. So yeah, it is a very scary thing to stand up and speak out, but I mean, are you really content and happy with yourself if you say nothing? Silence is complicity. If you don't do anything, then you are automatically in agreement with everything that's happening. And if you're somebody who has been a victim to the government in one way or another, well, whether you were wrongfully accused of doing something, whether DCF or CPS has been involved with your family in one way or another, because usually they overstep and usually they are wrong, then you should be speaking up. It's not easy to put yourself in the public eye and tell personal stories or talk about what happened to you if you are the victim of something like this. But if you don't do it, who will? If you don't do it, then you're just guaranteeing and condoning for it to keep happening to other families. And do you have, are you content, and do you have respect for yourself if you don't stand up against this, and fight for a better future for your children? Because the way it's looking now, our children are going to have to fight a way bigger fight than what we're fighting right now. Many people don't put in the effort to stand on what they think is right. They would rather bitch about it and then do something about it. I feel like I already read that one. Sorry. Generations of lies being told over and over will brainwash them into thinking it's the truth. My life experiences with this subject goes deep, but even when you do stand up and fight, they still silence it, even with evidence of corruption. Yeah, they do. And if I don't recognize your name, so I'm not sure if you've watched before or if you know anything about me. But I live in Boston, Massachusetts, and we were protesting the mayor of Boston last year in front of her house because she closed down City Hall when she heard that there was a rally planned to happen outside of City Hall. She closed City Hall for 2 weeks. So we went to her house to protest, and it lasted for 3 months, where we went in front of her house to protest like a couple days a week, every week. And she eventually got the city council to pass a city ordinance that banned us from protesting before 9 a.m. So she wrote a law and got it passed that was specifically targeted to suppress our speech and to keep us from confronting her and addressing her. After she wrote the law, it was a city ordinance. So if you're cited with this ordinance, you're only supposed to be subject to a fine of $50. But none of us were ever fined, and 5 of us have been arrested because of this ordinance. So they turned a civil infraction into a criminal matter, and we're still in court. This was about 9 months ago. And we're still in court now with criminal charges of disturbing the peace for protesting in front of her home. And I've also been arrested at City Hall. They also arrested me at City Hall for blowing a whistle. And then I was arrested at the Department of Education for Massachusetts. So they are effectively silencing us. And there's no public outrage. There's not a lot of people standing up for the First Amendment in Massachusetts, and it's really fucking sad, because without the First Amendment, we don't even have a chance at fighting for our freedom that we've already lost. I feel like there's a lot more activists on the political left side that want to stand with us against this picketing ordinance because they don't want to work with people on the right side. They don't want to work with the anti-vaxxers. They don't want to work with Trump supporters. They don't want to work with whatever it is that they call us. We have very little support from activist groups because they just don't want to work with us. So, when it comes to being an activist, I'd rather work on an issue because I'm passionate about fighting for or against an issue. I don't care who's standing next to me. As far as regular people go, I don't care about it, affecting my reputation amongst other activists because I worked with somebody. If it's stupid. It's stupid. If you're if you're fighting for a cause, who the fuck cares who you're fighting with? Oh, cool. My South May video is now at 143,000 views, and TikTok hates me for it. But that's fine because the views, right? All these people dogging you on TikTok need a video response asking them why they haven't sounded the alarm on the issue, why they want to fight you. They're mad at the wrong thing. Exactly. They're mad at the wrong thing. And that's the biggest problem that we have is that everybody wants to have an argument about who's a racist. Everybody wants to have an argument about who's an anti-vaxxer, who's anti-LGBTQ, who's anti-trans, blah, 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 blah. But they don't want to talk about the things that actually matter. Like, I'm not any of those things, right? I mean, like, I am an anti-vaxxer. But, I don't hate people, period. I don't hate anybody based off of the color of their skin or the way that they live their life. I don't care how you live your life. It's none of my business. But, I don't hate any of these people. But even if I did, if I'm willing to stand next to you and fight for a cause that you believe in, why do you care what my personal feelings are toward you? I don't care what your personal feelings are toward me. It's just stupid to me. If you're actually genuinely fighting for a cause, then I would think that you want anybody who's also genuinely fighting for that cause to stand with you, regardless of their personal feelings about anything. It's just fucking stupid. I don't know. It's so stupid. Get over it. Like, the feelings. I don't care if you hate me. You can hate me all you want. You can hate me for being one thing. You can hate me for being another thing. But if we both are, seriously fighting for something and we agree on that particular matter or issue, why does anything else matter? If you want to come to a protest against Michelle Wu with me because you have an issue with Michelle Wu, but you don't want to come to a protest with me against a vaccine clinic because you think vaccines are good, then whatever. I'll see you at the protest against Michelle Wu, and I won't see you at the protest against the vaccine clinic. Like, what's the big fucking deal? It's fucking stupid. I've been working with Heidi, who was the girl who was supposed to be my co-host on this show, but has now quit again. I've gone to standouts for her efforts where people are holding BLM and rainbow flags. BLM, Black Lives Matter, if you're not aware. Some people are not aware. And I've gone to, and she's come to protests outside of courthouses for me over the picketing ordinance. We've both protested NSC, the white supremacy group, but then like if she were to ask me to go to some, you know, counter protest of Trump supporters, I probably wouldn't go because I'm a Trump supporter. If I were to ask her to go protest a vaccine clinic, she probably wouldn't go because she's not, that passionate about being against vaccines. So that's fine. We're still able to work together. We're still able to coordinate. We're still able to show up for each other when it's something that we care about. Otherwise, good luck at your counter protest. Good luck at my vaccine protest. I'll see you next time. Whatever. It's just fucking stupid. Sorry. It's government conditioning, is what it is. They've conditioned so many people to think that you need to you need to be anti-hate, that if somebody has any hateful views, that you have to fiercely oppose them. You have to stand up against them, run them out of town, publicly harass, embarrass, shame, whatever, people who are hateful. It's the most ridiculous thing. Like, if there were people out here inciting violence against people who are of a particular race or people who are of a particular sexual orientation or, whatever the case may be, that's different. I would be against somebody that's inciting violence. But if somebody is just saying like, I don't like this, or, I don't feel like gay people should be able to get married. How does it affect your life that somebody doesn't think that gay people should be able to get married? What does that have to do with your life? Why are you taking time out of your life to protest that person? Because their views are not the same as yours. Unless it's like a legislator that's trying to pass a bill that affects somebody's life, then that's different. But these people, so many people, not even any specific people, but so many people want to protest you based off of your thoughts and feelings. And if that's not the most insane thing that I've ever heard of, you'll never be done protesting. You'll be protesting for the rest of your life because there's always going to be hateful people. There's always going to be people that don't like you. There's always going to be people that don't like me. There's always going to be people that don't like gay people. There's always going to be people that don't like white people. There's always going to be people that don't like black people. There's going to be people that don't like trans people. There's going to be people that don't like Jews. As long as they're not doing anything about it, who cares? You're giving hate a platform when you put the spotlight on it. So why? Ignore it. Don't give them a platform. Don't pay them any mind. Before, when I was a right-wing activist, just meeting left-wing activists for the first time and trying to have conversations with them, I was hearing about people on the right and groups on the right that are supposedly white supremacists that I've never heard of before on the right side. People on the right side don't even know these people. And I'm hearing about them on the left side. You're literally promoting them and propping them up and giving them more visibility by talking about them being hateful. It's just it's ridiculous and it's fucking stupid. And we need to be protesting the government and, the decision makers, and not fucking regular ass people who have absolutely no effect on our lives. It's stupid. It's a waste of time. But yeah. So It's 11 o'clock. I've been on here for an hour. I talked a little bit about the inmates at South Bay, aka Suffolk County House of Corrections. They're not getting in-person visits. They haven't been getting in-person visits since 2020. They're doing virtual visits, and that's fucking ridiculous. Even an inmate in jail deserves to be able to have contact with their family and be able to, hug their mother or hold their child. It's disgusting that this was supposedly a COVID policy and it's still going on. And they've adopted this policy, is what it sounds like, that it's not going to change. They don't have any in-person visits, only virtual, and you have to pay for a virtual visit. So you don't have the option of showing up in person, but now you have to pay for the virtual visit. It's ridiculous and it's really fucking sad. And I would like it if people have any ideas of how we can fight this, please reach out to me. Or if you want ideas how we can fight this, please reach out to me. This is not, I don't talk about issues to just like talk about them and then move on with my life. I talk about issues because I want to do something to help solve these issues. If you're in Boston, I'm running for Boston City Councilor at large. My campaign starts next week. I start collecting signatures to get my name on the ballot, and the preliminary elections in September. If you'd like to help with that, please let me know because I could use all the help that I could get. And, then I was just talking about standing up for what's right and, fighting issues that matter rather than, the endless quest to end hate. Nobody's ever going to end hate. Hate is always going to be there. All you're doing by trying to stop it is giving it a platform. I don't hate anybody. I don't. I'll work with anybody who's passionate about working for or against a cause that I'm also passionate about. And that's it. So I'm probably going to end momentarily. So if you have anything else that you want me to talk about, let me know in the comments, or if you have any questions, comment. And if you're watching from Facebook, which is where most of my viewership comes from, please go over to my YouTube channel and subscribe. The YouTube channel is called People's Press Media, and I'm streaming live right now on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I'm trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Right now I'm at about 150. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, because I do this show 3 nights a week, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 p.m. But I also spontaneously go live if I'm out at an action or if I run into a situation. So whether you're on, whatever platform you're on, please put on notifications for my lives so that you can tune in and see the things that are happening live. Other than that, I am also speaking at an event on Wednesday night. So if you're local and you'd like an invitation to the event, get in contact with me, whether it's through a DM. I don't always see all the comments on the videos. So if you could DM me or get in contact with me through wethepeopleofma.org, and I can send you an invite to the event. And there's also court dates coming up. If anybody wants to show up for court support, it's very important to have bodies in the courtroom to show support and have eyes on the judge, since we're not allowed to have cameras in the courtrooms, which is another ridiculous fucking issue that people should be making a big deal about. And like I said earlier, I would love to do some work to expose anything that's going wrong in schools across Massachusetts. My kids are homeschooled, so I don't have any stories of my own from schools, but I do advocate for kids in the schools. I do give testimony in school committee meetings and hearings, and if I can help you get your voice out there in any way, I would love to. Um, remember when Little Italy restaurants joined together with the anti-Woo protesters? Yes, I do, because it was exactly a year ago. And so Little Italy in Boston is the north end of Boston. Last year, Mayor Michelle Wu imposed a $7,500 fine on them to participate in outdoor dining, which they were allowed to have outdoor dining for no cost during the pandemic because they needed to have like spacing between tables, like 6 feet, between tables in the restaurants, and those restaurants are typically really small and crowded. So they had outdoor dining during the pandemic, and then when last year they determined that outdoor dining wasn't a necessity anymore, they told all the restaurants in the north end of Boston that they had to pay a $7,500 fee to participate in outdoor dining, but no other restaurant in the city of Boston had to pay this fee. There was no explanation for where the number came from or what the money was going to be used for. We still don't know what the money was used for. If anybody would like to file a FOIA and figure that out, we'd appreciate it, because we get a lot on our plates, and not just pasta. They ended up almost all paying the $7,500 fee last year. So they talked a big game in the beginning and said they weren't going to pay, and then they did, unfortunately. But we did protest for them and with them, and they did come. Some of them came to the mayor's house with us to protest over there, and we're still rooting for them, even though we think that they should have fought a lot harder last year. Now this year, they got what we all knew was coming. The mayor has now, which of course now she has little minions speaking for her. So she wasn't the one who actually had to address these people. She sent somebody else to do her dirty work for her. They announced this year that the North End will not be allowed to participate at all in outdoor dining. So next Monday, May 1st, outdoor dining will start in the city of Boston. However, the North End, which is known for its restaurants, which is the biggest tourist spot in the city of Boston, probably in the state of Massachusetts, will not have outdoor dining for the summer, and every other restaurant in Boston will, for free, or likely for free. I'd be wrong about that. Correct me if I am, but as far as I know, restaurants don't have to pay a fee for outdoor dining, and they get to start next Monday, and the North End doesn't. So what happened with that $7,500? Because I'm not sure exactly how many restaurants there are in the North End, but I know there's a lot, right? So let's say there's 60. The city made $500,000. What did they use it for? Because they did say that there was excessive trash in the North End, and that they might, use extra money for extra cleaning of the sidewalks and streets. There was no extra cleaning. The restaurant owners actually pay for multiple trash pickup days, and they have been doing that for a while. They pay themselves. So we'd love to know where that $500,000, or probably more than $500,000, went. Nobody knows. And they tried to file a lawsuit, and it was dismissed, the lawsuit from last year. So yeah, May 1st, if you're feeling like going out to eat, please go visit the North End, because why not? They have a amazing restaurants down there, and every other restaurant in the city will have tables outside, and the North End will not. Thank you, Michelle Wu. Shame on Wu. So yeah, I'm gonna be done here. I will see you guys on Wednesday night at 10 on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Please share the video, comment on the video. Let me know what other topics you'd like me to cover. Let me know if you have anybody that you'd like for me to have on the show, or if you yourself would like to come on the show and tell your story about any issue at all. I hate talking by myself. I like much better to have another person to talk to. But for now, I'm going to get off, and I will see you guys Wednesday night at 10. Thank you.